Hello, my name is Thomas and welcome to this third slice of Yorkshire life on British culture. Albion never dies. So in this episode I normally just go through the local newspapers for Yorkshire because I think, well, first of all, Yorkshire is a place that I know, and second of all, I find that local news stories often show the real life of a country. The national newspapers, I mean, it's often big power politics and, you know, the international stage, but I don't know, for me the international news, it doesn't really connect. It's very rarely you meet somebody genuinely involved with all of it. Of course, occasionally you might even hear them on, say, Quantum of History, a podcast like that. But I don't know. For me, day-to-day life is often better reflected in the local newspapers. And as I say, I'm going to take the Yorkshire newspapers not because they're the most amazing. They're just normal, regular newspapers. But I happen to know the places, and right now I am in Yorkshire. If you listen to my previous episode, it was called Back to Britain, and I am back in Britain after 7 years. So thank you very much to everyone who messaged me about that, especially to Paul, who messaged me saying about the iron. I think I referenced, you arrive in a new country, in a new place, you're sorting out a SIM card, you're sorting out an iron, you're sorting out all kinds of things. I have now done some ironing, it's okay. I've been along to my lockbox. A few people were commenting on the recent Bond film, No Time to Die. Bond arrives back in the UK after 5 years, presumably away, and he goes along to a lockbox and has an Aston Martin. But in a previous film, Skyfall, he also came to the UK, opened a lockbox after some time away. So it's like, how many lockboxes with Aston Martin does he have scattered around London? Well, I've spent quite a bit of time outside the UK, and I do have a bunch of lockboxes on different continents, and just people looking after stuff. But this was an actual paid-for lockbox. Sadly, I've never found an Aston Martin in any of mine. I think they're a little bit too small, but so far, I'm not even a toy Aston Martin. I don't own one. So yeah, if anyone has a spare Aston Martin to give me, I'll keep it very nicely in whatever lockbox I get next. But anyway, I've had loads and loads of lovely messages, especially from people in the UK saying, let's meet up. Especially, it seems to be based in London, which is a bit far from Yorkshire, but I'm definitely going to be going down. I don't know when, maybe in May, I don't know. But I do hope to be getting down to London, and one fellow in the Shetland Islands said perhaps I could go up there. So, Gavin, yes, I would like to go up to the Shetland Islands. I've been up to the Orkneys. I'd love to go up to the Shetlands one day. But most of my time right now, I'm focused on jobs. So I was talking to one company before. I'm still applying for jobs, especially in the publishing industry. Quite like a few people I know have been recommending me for jobs. I was having a look at the BBC. Who knows? Maybe they'll listen to my podcast and sign me up. So I don't know. If you're working for the BBC, I'm available. I'm also available to ideas. I think there's a big shipping company recently got rid of hundreds of staff over a pay dispute. So someone messaged me. Maybe I should go work with them. Anyway. Thank you very much for all your well wishes. I say open to ideas. I keep applying. I haven't done a YouTube video yet. It will come very, very shortly. And a deep dive is coming too. Not quite sure when. Still working out the details. And I am working on R. Now, also my Instagram. R is for what? There's one very strong contender for a lead topic. I haven't asked on Facebook yet. Will soon, but I've already got a strong start. So I'm working away on it. These alphabet episodes, I do like to spend the time. They do often now end up being much longer episodes. I try to keep it at 40 minutes. I know some of them have gone up to an hour. But these are really, really interesting. And I find it very interesting what people's perceptions are of the UK. If they're in the UK, what do they think is Britishness? If they're British outside the UK, and if they are non-Brits based outside the UK, but still have very strong and clear ideas about what Britishness is. I find that all very, very interesting. So, I've been enjoying Yorkshire. I haven't even got to the news yet. I'll get to the news quickly, but I have been enjoying it. It's my own personal news. Been meeting up with friends, and today I went around the Science and Media Museum. It used to be called the National Media Museum, and they had an exhibition called Top Secret, all about code breaking, put together with GCHQ, the top code breakers, and it's all about the history of code breaking, really from the origins. I don't know if you can hear that cat. It belongs to a friend of mine. Oh, noisy cat. So it's going into the origins of code breaking, before the year zero, starting from then, and then going forward into the modern day. It was really, really interesting, and I don't know if I've ever seen an Enigma machine in real life before. So it was really cool to see that. All the details of Bletchley Park, and then carrying on into the Cold War. Lots of details about the Russians in the 60s and in the 50s. So if you enjoy reading Ian Fleming, lots of good stuff there. And one thing I've been enjoying every single day has been just a nice walk in the countryside. It's been lovely, lovely weather. Although apparently it may change, it may snow next week. I remember the saying, don't go out without a clout before maybe out. Clout being the old-fashioned word for a vest. That's my memory of it. I quickly googled that and found it might be near Caster Clout till maybe out. And I had a little look more, and I found a place called Idiomation. Now, this was written way back in 2010, but it was referencing a poem written in the Whitby Gazette, great local newspaper in East Yorkshire, in 1855. The wind at north and east was never good for man nor beast, so never think to cast a clout until the month of May be out. Good idea. Always wear a vest, or what was it, an A shirt? I think Matt Spacer of Bondsuits called it, and always wear, an undervest until the month of May. Could snow very soon where I am. Kind of looking forward to that. Very glad I went to my lockbox and got all my stuff out. I did not pick up a physical copy of the Telegraph and Argus, which is where I got all my newspaper articles this week. But I've had a browse online. I'm going to pick up a paper copy soon just to see how much difference there is. I did quite like this headline, and I'm just going in the order of headlines that jumped out at me. I've got the cat meowing at my feet. Okay, here's the headline. Cat at my feet was not the headline. The headline is, gas engineer peered through letterbox of Bradford house and uncovered an organised crime. I like this, by Jenny Loweth. A team of gas engineers discovered a big cannabis farm where they called at a Bradford house to investigate why the energy bills weren't being paid. One looked through the letterbox and saw Hugh Van Wyn hiding on the floor of the property in Chelmsford Terrace, Barker End, Bradford Crown Court heard today. The engineers gained access to the address and called the police when they saw it had been turned into a cannabis farm. The police found a total of 382 cannabis plants at the address, including 238 seedlings concealed in a cupboard. There are also the usual transformers, fans and lights found at a commercial drugs farm, and the electricity meter had been bypassed. So there we go, big crime. You always need to pay your electric bills, otherwise you'll be uncovered. This is a bit of a Bradford crime. I've heard of many of these cannabis farms being discovered here before. And what was it? Transformers, fans and lights. I remember walking past a shop that sold specifically, indoor plant growing equipment, and you could only go by appointment only and had to ring a special bell. All the sign was explaining that. I never went inside. And I do remember there was a nice area of Bradford, and it snowed once. And there was one particular house that had no snow on its roof, and all the others did, so that soon got a police raid. So a bit of a standard story here, but I do like the idea that they were just caught because they didn't pay the electricity bill, just like Al Capone being done for the tax office. Okay, oof. Here's a long story. I saved quite a bit of this, and the links to all these stories are in the show notes. But this is a weird and interesting one by Felicity McNamara. She reports, Alice Cutter, jailed Miss Hitler beauty pageant contestant, could be freed early. A former Miss Hitler beauty pageant contestant who was jailed for being a member of far-right terrorist group National Action has been granted a parole hearing. Alice Cutter, originally from Bradford, was jailed for 3 years back in June 2020, but could be freed early following the hearing later this month. Cutter was 23 at the time, one of 4 neo-Nazi diehards convicted of being members of the banned group. A group labelled racist, anti-Semitic and homophobic by the then Home Secretary Amber Rudd was banned in December 2016 after a series of rallies and incidents, including praise of the murder of Member of Parliament Joe Cox. Oof. There's so many things going on here. First of all, a beauty pageant in the UK. I genuinely believe there's no such thing in the UK. It's not associated with American movies. Until I think it was Miss Manchester punching Miss London in the face got to the headlines. And then I suddenly learned, first of all, that beauty pageants were a thing, and second of all, that one would punch the other in the face. And then a Miss Hitler beauty pageant. Okay. To carry on with the article, a spokesperson for the parole board said, "We can confirm the parole review of Alice Cutter has been referred to the parole board by the Secretary of State for Justice and is listed for a hearing in late March. Parole board decisions are solely focused on what risk a prisoner could represent to the community if released and whether that risk is manageable in the community. The panel will carefully examine a huge range of evidence, including details of the original crime and any evidence of behaviour change, as well as explore the harm done and the impact the crime has had on victims." Again, all very, very strange. So they'll be going through loads and loads of evidence. So there's, I think, 3 possible outcomes of all this. Release, once the parole board has directed the release of prisoners, up to the Ministry of Justice to make the arrangements. Okay. Open conditions, the parole board can recommend a prisoner moves to an open prison. However, it is for the Ministry of Justice to make the final decision. Or, under current legislation, the prisoner will be eligible for further review within 2 years. Gosh. A Miss Hitler. Okay. There we go. Another Bradford story. I feel we need to get on to more normal territory here. Young couple caught growing cannabis worth up to $35,000 at their home. Wow. Okay, another cannabis story. Young couple caught growing and selling cannabis had £1,162 cash in their hands. That's suspicious. And £950 Louis Vuitton handbag. Wow. Olivia White and Oase Malik had a crop of the Class B drug with potential street value of £35,000. Golly. So White's 22, Malik's 24 years old. They were told they would almost certainly have been locked up if they had been dealt with sooner for offences. However, the pair have since turned their lives around. Both are in full-time work, and they had huge support from their families. Okay, so the court heard the police had found cannabis found at their old address in 2019. They had 76 plants, potential yield of 4.18 kilos, wholesale value of £25,000, a street value of £35,000. Oh, lets you know the markup. Also, individual deals of the drug valued at £220 and a dealer list. Wow. I guess the police are happy with that. So they might have at first been under pressure to set up the cannabis farm, then they became drug dealers themselves, but apparently they're just enjoying the money now and the lifestyle that came with it. Anyway, the large gap between them committing the offences and appearing for sentence enabled them to make great strides forward. Well done them. Okay. At some point, the international news does have to hit the local newspapers, so the war in Ukraine has hit the Bradford newspapers. This is by Mark Stanford. He writes, Dr. Emir Khan reports on refugees from Ukraine fleeing war. Bradford doctor has seen for himself the medical plight of Ukrainian refugees. Dr. Emir Khan travelled to Warsaw, Poland to report on people who have fled Ukraine over the last few weeks due to the ongoing conflict. He spoke to injured refugees during reports for ITV's Good Morning Britain and Lorraine daytime programmes. Okay, so he's doing good stuff out there. Apparently sees around 6,000 refugees through these centres every single day. Back to more misbehaviour. It seems like these small courts are good material for the local newspapers. Bradford woman banned for life by Jet2 and slapped with £5,000 fine due to aggressive, abusive behaviour on a flight that was going from Manchester to Antalya. Guy, you want to go there, Antalya. It's a lovely city in Turkey. But anyway, it had to be delayed, sent off to Vienna so the Austrian police could offload Miss Bush, apparently. And this led to a delay of approximately 1 hour and the flight continued safely to the destination. Oh dear. Don't misbehave on a flight. More misbehaviour. Man, 20, punched 3 Bradford taxi drivers in the head. Oh my goodness, okay. Man aged 20 punched 3 Bradford taxi drivers whilst bilking them out of their fares. I had to check that word, so bilking, as to con someone out of money. Brian Rushford caged lifts, not caught a lift, caged lifts apparently, and then violently attacked the cabbies. So he was trying to get out of a fee of £22.50. Oof. Now he's been sentenced up to 8 months in a young offenders institution, suspended for 2 years with 280 hours of unpaid work, must attend a 9-month alcohol treatment programme and 35 rehabilitation days. All that for trying to get out of £22.50. By Jove. And the final story was about a barbecue ban on Bradford's moorlands could be extended by another 3 years due to the fire risk it obviously presents. Very obviously, I'd say. As a very quick run through of the newspapers and some of my personal news. A bit rushed because I'm putting together a huge amount of content to come up. So just putting out this one, and I might be travelling soon, fingers crossed. Just a little bit of a travel around the UK. And again, plenty of photos coming up, probably a bit of a YouTube, certainly a podcast coming out of it. And so I'd just like to say thank you very much for listening to this rather hastily put together podcast. So do like, subscribe, 5-star honest reviews and all that. But also thank you very much to whoever's been watching my my YouTube channel. There's one series which is called 007's Drinks. I've been looking at a whole range of drinks, even coffee and whatever, but one of them, Goldfinger Mint Julep, loads of people seem to be watching that, so that's you. Thank you very much. And if you haven't, well, it's very popular, so maybe take a look. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you very, very much for listening. It was hastily put together, so do hope you enjoyed it. Bye.